Hello again, NCAC sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in the NCAC. I'm your host, Brett Billhart. We'll open this week's show by breaking down the results from the 2012 NCAC Swimming and Diving Championships, which were held at the C.T. Brandon Natatorium in Canton, Ohio from February 15th through the 18th. For the fourth year in a row, the Denison men and women both captured their respective team titles at the event. The Big Red women, who totaled 1,611 points, won 11 total events, collected 23 top 5 finishes, posted 6 NCAA A-Cut swims, and notched one record to edge out Kenyon for the 4th consecutive year. The ladies tallied 1,581 points after touching first in 9 races and earning 25 top 5 finishes, followed by Worcester with 947 points, DePaul with 877, Wittenberg with 805, Allegheny with 633, Oberlin with 481, Ohio Wesleyan with 347, and Hiram with 216. On the men's side, DU won 9 events en route to earning 1,665 points to also top Kenyon for the 4th year in a row. In addition to the event wins, the Big Red racked up 29 top 5 finishes, earned 11 NCAA A-Cuts, set 1 NCAC record, and 1 C.T. Brandon Natatorium pool record. Kenyon earned 2nd place in the team standings with 1,546 points after winning 11 races and posting 23 top 5 finishes. DePaul, in its first ever NCAC championship meet, was 3rd with 987 points, followed by Wabash with 637, Allegheny with 635, Oberlin with 525, Wittenberg with 511, Worcester with 473, Ohio Wesleyan with 424, and Hiram with 190. Kenyon senior Alyssa Vereshchagin was voted as the Women's Swimmer of the Year after she won the 100 breaststroke, 200 breast, 200 IM, and swam a leg on the winning 400 medley relay. Her times of 2:05 flat in the 200 IM and 3:19:05 in the 400 medley relay did meet NCAA A-Cut standards. Denison freshman Katie Collins was named the 2012 Female Diver of the Year after she finished first on both the 1 and 3 meter boards. She tallied 388.2 points on the 1 meter board and 424.05 on the 3 meter board. NCAC Women's Coach of the Year honors went to Worcester's Rob Harrington for the first time in his career, while Allegheny's Fred Evanoff was named the Female Diving Coach of the Year for the first time in his career as well. On the men's side, Kenyon senior David Summers was tabbed the 2012 Men's Swimmer of the Year after he posted 6 event wins, 6 NCAA A-Cut swims, 2 meet records, and 1 C.T. Brandon Natatorium pool record. Individually, Summers won the 50 freestyle, 2012, 100 butterfly in 49:28, and the 100 freestyle in 44:06, all which were national championship automatic qualifying times. He also set the NCAC record in the 50 freestyle during the preliminary session with a time of 19.83. Summers was also a member of 3 winning relay squads, including the 200 free relay, which set both league and pool records and automatically qualified for the national meet with a time of 1:18:77. He was also a member of both the winning 200 medley relay in 1:30:65 and the 400 free relay, which finished in 2:55:02. Denison junior Gabe Dixon was named the Men's Diver of the Year for the 2nd consecutive season, after sweeping both diving events with NCAA qualifying scores. He won the 1 meter competition with a score of 5:45.80 and the 3-meter with a pool and NCAC record score of 5:68.80. Dixon erased the second oldest mark in the NCAC men's swimming and diving record book, as Allegheny graduate Doug Tucker's score of 5:41.20 stood as the league's benchmark in the 3-meter competition since 1991. Kenyon head coach Jim Steen was named the men's swimming coach of the year, while Denison's Jason Glorious was named the male diving coach of the year for the second consecutive season. Steen, in his 37th year at Kenyon, has now collected 5 Male Coach of the Year awards and 13 overall. For complete results from the 2012 NCAC Swimming and Diving Championships, you can visit the championship website. Simply navigate to either gender's homepage on the NCAC website and then click on the NCAC Championships link in the left-hand column. Keeping in mind the theme of postseason competition, we will now unveil the brackets for the 2012 men's and women's NCAC basketball tournaments. Tournament play in both genders begins with quarterfinal games on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m., with the higher seeds serving as the host, while the semifinals and finals will be contested on Friday and Saturday, respectively, at the site of the highest remaining seed to emerge from the quarterfinal round. Semifinal games will be held at 6 and 8 p.m., with the high seed playing in the later time slot, while both championship games are set for 7:30 p.m. on Saturday evening. This year's tournament champions will again receive an automatic bid into the NCAA Division III tournament, which begins with first-round play on March 2nd or 3rd. We'll now start by breaking down the women's bracket. DePaul, in its first season in the NCAC, earned its first ever league title and the #1 seed after going 16-0 in conference play. The Tigers will host 8th-seeded Oberlin on Tuesday. Denison secured the #2 seed and will host 7th-seeded Ohio Wesleyan. Kenyon is the 3 seed and will host #6 Hiram. And finally, Allegheny, as the 4 seed, will play host to #5 Wittenberg. Denison is the defending tournament champion and is tied with Wittenberg for the most tournament titles all time with 7 apiece. Allegheny and Ohio Wesleyan have each won 5 tournaments, while Kenyon owns 2 tourney titles and Worcester has 1. And the final Women's Basketball Player of the Week award went to Kenyon sophomore Maureen Hurt for the 3rd time this season. In 2 games last week, Hurt scored 48 points after shooting 44% from the field and 88% from the charity stripe. We will now unveil the matchups for the 2012 NCAC Men's Basketball Tournament. Wittenberg secured the top seed in the tournament for the first time since the 2003-04 season after winning the 2012 NCAC title outright with a league record of 14-2. The Tigers will open tournament play at home on Tuesday against 8th-seeded Kenyon. Worcester garnered the #2 seed and will host 7th-seeded DePaul. Ohio Wesleyan is the 3 seed and will host #6 Hiram. And finally, Wabash, as the #4 seed, will host 5th-seeded Denison. Worcester is the 3-time defending NCAC tournament champion and owns a league-leading 13 tourney titles all time, while Wittenberg has 6 tournament titles to its credit. Ohio Wesleyan is 3rd all-time with 4 titles, followed by Allegheny with 3 and Kenyon with 1. And the final NCAC Men's Basketball Player of the Week award went to Kenyon sophomore Ikenna Quadibia. In a must-win scenario on Saturday against Allegheny, Quadibia poured in a game-high 23 points and corralled 12 rebounds to lead Kenyon to the 67-64 victory over the Gators. The victory did assure Kenyon the 8th and final spot in the 2012 NCAC Men's Basketball Tournament. We will now turn our attention to the track and recognize our Athlete of the Week recipients from last week's action. The first Women's Weekly Award for distance and middle distance events went to Ohio Wesleyan senior Emma Lissel. Lissel was a member of the school record-setting DMR squad that won the event at the OSU tune-up with a time of 12:22:24. She also won the 1 mile run with a time of 5:14:95 at the Kenyon Classic on Saturday. Oberlin freshman Margaret Miller was named the weekly award winner for sprint and hurdle events after taking second in the 55-meter dash in a time of 7:64, fourth in the 200-meter dash in a time of 27:54, and first as a member of the 4x200-meter relay in a time of 1:48:93 at the Greater Cleveland Championships on Friday evening at Baldwin-Wallace. The final Women's Weekly Award for field events went to Ohio Wesleyan junior Emily Ambergy, after she placed fourth in the high jump at OSU with a leap of 5 feet, 3 3/4 inches. She also took second in the high jump and sixth in the triple jump at the Kenyon Classic on Saturday. The first Men's Weekly Award for distance and middle distance events went to Wabash junior Jake Waterman for the third time this season. Waterman took first in the 800-meter run at the DePaul Indoor Classic with a meet record time of 1:51:94. Waterman was also a member of the 4x400-meter relay team that set the school record on Friday at the OSU tune-up with a time of 3:20:25. Oberlin senior Sean Trapinski earned the weekly honor for sprint and hurdle events. He took third in the 400-meter run in 52:21 and was a member of the winning 4x400-meter relay in a time of 3:31:25 at the Greater Cleveland Championships at BW. And the final Men's Weekly Award for field events went to Ohio Wesleyan sophomore Eric Wall. Wall finished first in the long jump with a leap of 20 feet, 9 3/4 inches, and third in the triple jump at the Kenyon Classic. The first events of the 2012 NCAC Indoor Track and Field Championships will be contested this weekend at Ohio Wesleyan. The men's heptathlon will begin on Saturday and conclude on Sunday, while the women's pentathlon will be contested on Sunday as well. And finally, we'll conclude this week's show by taking our first look at spring tennis action. On the men's side, Worcester posted a 7-2 victory over Otterbein in its first ever match contested in the brand new Scott Center. Fighting Scott sophomore Landon Moore was named the NCAC Men's Tennis Player of the Week after sweeping his Otterbein opponent at number 1 singles 6-1, 6-1, and also earning an 8-4 triumph at number 1 doubles. Allegheny was a perfect 2-0 in matches last week, defeating John Carroll 7-2 and Ohio Wesleyan 6-3. Gator sophomore Pat Cole was a perfect 4-0 on the week, dropping just 4 total games in singles competition. On the women's side, Oberlin improved to 4-1 in dual matches this year with a convincing 8-1 victory over Otterbein. OC senior Ariel Lewis was named the NCAC Women's Tennis Player of the Week after she remained perfect in singles competition with a victory in the number 1 position. In her career, she has now earned 76 victories in singles matches and 50 in doubles competition. There is again a full slate of tennis matches on the NCAC schedule this week, highlighted by the Kenyon men traveling to Minnesota for the ITA National Indoor event. Fans, we once again thank you for tuning in for another episode of This Week in the NCAC, and we hope you tune in next week as we continue to look forward to keeping you up to date on action from across the North Coast Athletic Conference. Fans, please do note that we will continue to add more spring sports updates to our weekly episodes in the coming weeks. And as always, for up-to-date news, stats, and standings on your favorite NCAC squads, you can visit our website at www.northcoast.org.